The heart monitors let out a long and merciless tone. Officer Ethan Cole lay motionless on the hospital bed, his skin pale and lips losing color fast. His chest had stopped rising. His pulse had been swallowed by silence. Around him, doctors and nurses moved with frantic precision, their voices rising with each passing second.
Push one of epi.
Adrenaline soaked the room, but underneath that urgency was a cold truth they all felt growing heavier. They were losing him.
Hang another bag.
A young nurse checked the monitor again, hoping for a miracle that refused to arrive. There was nothing left to read. The screen showed a flat, unforgiving line. Before we begin this story of survival, love, and miracles that walk on four legs, make sure to like, comment where you are watching from, and subscribe to the channel so more people can feel the hope that animals bring into our lives. This is not just a story about a police officer. It is a story about a dog who refused to let his partner die. Because some heroes are born with fur. Summer hammered down upon Phoenix like a massive furnace lid, sealing every breath in scorching air and shimmering mirages that danced above the pavement. Even the palm trees seemed to wilt like exhausted guards forced to watch over the sun-baked city without complaint. Officer Ethan Cole had seen many summers in Arizona, but this one felt different, like heat with intention, heat that whispered warnings he tried to ignore. Ethan, at 32, moved like someone permanently caught between confidence and restlessness. He had broad shoulders hardened by years on the police force, a square jaw dusted with stubble the same sandy brown as his short-cropped hair, and eyes that carried both kindness and the weight of memories he refused to unpack. A faint scar slanted above his eyebrow, a souvenir from a night when a call had gone wrong, and a rookie mistake nearly cost a life. Ever since, Ethan had worn responsibility like a second badge, invisible but heavier than the metal pinned to his chest. The afternoon shift had been slow, the kind of stillness that usually came before chaos. Ethan leaned against his patrol SUV, feeling sweat trickle beneath his uniform. By his side stood Thunder, his 4-year-old German Shepherd partner, whose thick sable coat somehow still gleamed despite the heat. Thunder's ears were perked, tail relaxed, his tongue lolling out like he found the blazing world around them mildly amusing. Ethan envied that sense of ease. Thunder wasn't just a K9. He was loyalty with fur, instincts wrapped in muscle, and humor hidden behind brown eyes that always looked like they were withholding a joke. "You're lucky you don't have to fill out paperwork," Ethan muttered, scratching the back of Thunder's neck. Thunder nudged his hand with a playful snort, as if to say he did his part by saving Ethan from his worst impulses, like taking life too seriously. Dispatch crackled. Routine welfare check. Abandoned property. "We're on it," Ethan replied, climbing into the driver's seat while Thunder hopped into the back, settling like a king reclaiming his throne. The address led them to a shabby stretch of Phoenix's outskirts, a sun-bleached house with boarded windows and weeds clawing up the foundation, the type of place where time had given up. Ethan approached cautiously, hand resting near his holster, though he hoped he wouldn't need it. Thunder moved beside him, alert now, humor gone. Instinct had taken the wheel. Inside, the air was stale, thick with dust that muted his footsteps. The living room looked frozen mid-argument, chairs overturned, a cracked picture frame on the floor. Ethan scanned corners, every muscle poised. Thunder sniffed along the walls, nose twitching with professional focus. Then Ethan felt it, a faint sting on the underside of his left arm. "Damn splinter," he muttered, rubbing the spot. He didn't even look. Just a tiny prick, nothing more. Thunder glanced up briefly, ears flicking, then continued nosing around. Ethan would laugh later, thinking how such a nothing moment slipped past him like a whisper. They cleared the house quickly. No movement, no bodies, just the echo of a life abandoned. When the call was closed out and the caution faded, the sting on Ethan's arm faded with it. He was tired. Maybe that was why his thoughts felt so heavy on the drive back. Maybe that was why his chest felt tight beneath the seatbelt. He dropped Thunder off at the small K9 rest area behind the station so the dog could cool down. Thunder hesitated, pawing Ethan's knee before jumping out, sensing the discomfort, but unable to name it. Ethan brushed off the concern with a clumsy smile. "I'm good, buddy. Just need water and AC. Maybe a year of sleep." Thunder's ears pinned back. He did not believe him. Ethan reached his home shortly after sunset, the sky a smear of orange bruised into purple. The house felt too quiet, as if silence had been waiting impatiently for him to return. He kicked off his boots, rubbed his temples, tried to shake off the haze building behind his eyes. It felt like fatigue, nothing more. He ignored the creeping warmth in his left arm, the throb blossoming like a warning in slow motion. He turned on the fan. It sounded distant, like his world was receding. "Just tired," he whispered to no one. But the room continued to tilt in a direction he couldn't correct. His pulse fluttered weakly. Knees wobbled. The floor rose up to meet him as though he were a puppet and someone had cut the strings. Panic flickered only once in his mind, sharp and singular. "What is wrong with me?" His hand gripped his arm at the exact spot where the sting had been. It felt like the world's smallest enemy had been hiding there, blooming into something merciless. His breath failed first, then his vision. His heart stuttered like a broken engine in the heat. And the last thought his unraveling mind clung to was not fear nor confusion, but Thunder, his partner, his other half, who always seemed to know before he did. Darkness swallowed everything, and Ethan Cole's body lay still on the living room carpet, the entire city unaware that a battle was being lost inside one of its quiet nights. But somewhere across Phoenix, in a kennel built for duty, Thunder suddenly stood. Every hair along his spine bristled. His heart knew what no machine yet had time to detect. His human needed him, and nothing in this world, heat, walls, or fate, could stop him from reaching Ethan. Thunder had never liked the quiet nights at the K9 rest area. The cool concrete floors, the hum of distant air conditioning, the faint metallic scent of cages. It all felt too controlled, too still, especially when Ethan wasn't beside him. The moonlight spilled across the small space like a silver invitation, and Thunder paced, restless paws scraping the ground as if his bones themselves were ringing with alarm. Something in him, a wild voice older than language, kept whispering the same message. Ethan is in danger. A young kennel tech named Maya Lopez, barely 23, stepped into the room with a clipboard. She was small and slender, her black hair tied into a hasty bun, and freckles sprinkled across her nose like tiny constellations. Maya had joined the precinct after losing her family dog, seeing the K9 unit as a way to stay close to the animals she loved. She spoke gently to them, sang silly songs during feeding time, and always carried a roll of treats in her pocket. But tonight, Thunder didn't even look at her food bowl. His tail wasn't wagging. His ears were pinned tight, his chest rumbling with a low growl that wasn't directed at anyone, just at the invisible threat tightening around his world. "You okay, big guy?" Maya asked, crouching down to meet his eyes. She had learned that dogs communicate whole stories with their goes. Tonight, Thunder's gaze screamed. He lunged toward the door, claws scratching the metal, barking with a fierce urgency Maya had never witnessed. She tried soothing him, but the barking only escalated, sharp, frantic, almost painful. It was clear Thunder wasn't throwing a tantrum. He was begging her. "All right, okay, hold on, hero," she murmured, fumbling with the latch. The second it clicked, Thunder shoved it open with his weight and bolted into the night. Maya gasped, but followed, dialing emergency numbers through shaking hands. "Thunder's gone rogue. Someone track Officer Cole now." But Thunder was already yards away, paws pounding the pavement like the earth itself pushed him forward. He wasn't looking. He was following a compass built from loyalty. The scent of Ethan, warm, human, familiar, pulled him through intersections, across yards, ignoring cars and startled pedestrians who leapt out of his path. Meanwhile, Ethan lay still on his living room floor, his breathing now shallow gasps, barely there. His eyes flickered beneath half-closed lids, trapped in darkness while his mind clawed at staying alive. Somewhere inside him, a thought chimed like a distant bell. Thunder will come. Not hope, faith. As Thunder rounded the last corner, Ethan's house came into view, quiet, unlit, wrong. Thunder rammed the front door with his shoulder once, twice, snarling and desperate. The third strike sent it flying inward. Inside, the air smelled sharply of adrenaline and the faint chemical tang of venom spreading through Ethan's blood. Thunder rushed to his partner's side, nose pressed urgently against Ethan's cheek, whining an anxious plea for him to wake up. But Ethan didn't move. Thunder used his strength to hook his teeth into Ethan's collar, dragging, tugging, anything to pull him back from the universe slipping beneath him. But Thunder couldn't lift a full-grown man, and his whine broke into something that sounded frighteningly like a cry. That's when headlights flashed outside and heavy boots pounded through the open door. Officer Marcus Hayes, a tall and powerfully built black man with a shaved head and a stern expression carved from years of street duty, stormed into the room. Marcus was a man known for silence and discipline, traits shaped by a childhood where weakness was punished, not comforted. But seeing Ethan sprawled on the floor knocked the ice right out of him. "Cole! Hey!" Marcus dropped to his knees, his deep voice cracking ever so slightly. Thunder barked sharply, then shoved his snout against Ethan's left arm, pawing insistently at the bicep where the sting had happened. Marcus followed the cue, rolling Ethan carefully to inspect the spot. His eyes narrowed as he spotted the faint, tiny bruise, dark as ink against Ethan's pale, sweat-sheened skin. "Oh, hell," Marcus muttered. "Scorpion." Thunder barked again, messily, impatiently. "Yes, that! Hurry!" Marcus scooped Ethan into his arms like a burden he refused to lose. "You drive," he ordered another officer who had just arrived. Officer Jenna Brooks, a lean woman in her late 20s, with fiery red hair and sharp emerald eyes, who hid anxiety beneath sarcasm and speed. Without hesitation, she jumped into the driver's seat. Thunder leapt into the back, refusing to let distance separate him from his partner, even for seconds. His body curled protectively against Ethan, licking his fingers, urging life to stay just a little longer. The patrol vehicle screamed through Phoenix streets, sirens slicing the night open. Marcus held an oxygen mask to Ethan's face, murmuring things he would never admit later. Things like, "Hang on, man," and "Don't you dare." Through the windows, neon signs blurred into streaks of light. Time blurred too. Thunder pressed his forehead to Ethan's chest, searching desperately for the beat he needed to hear. One beat. Then none. Thunder howled, a raw, anguished sound that split Marcus straight through the ribs. Jenna slammed the gas pedal harder. The hospital lights approached. Brilliant, blinding hope. Thunder was not giving up, not when the world depended on one heartbeat to start again. The emergency entrance of St. Anne's Medical Center burst open as Jenna swerved the patrol SUV to a screeching halt. Red and blue lights pulsed against the glass doors like frantic warnings from the universe itself. Thunder leapt out first, hitting the pavement with force, then spinning toward the back doors as Marcus carried Ethan's limp body in his arms. The weight wasn't the problem. Marcus had carried heavier. What terrified him was the stillness of that weight. No breath, no fight. Only silence. A team of nurses rushed forward, guided by a firm, calm voice. Dr. Amelia Carter, the lead ER physician on duty that night, strode into view. She was in her early 40s, tall and composed, her blonde hair tied in a tight bun, streaked with strands of silver that gave her an air of experience earned through sleepless nights. Sharp blue eyes missed nothing, and her posture was one of a commander who knew that panic kills faster than injury. She was adored and feared equally, her high expectations forged by years working trauma in Chicago, where hesitation meant graveyards. "What have we got?" she demanded without slowing a step. "Officer Ethan Cole," Marcus responded, breath strained. "Collapsed. Suspected scorpion sting. Venom is spreading fast. He's losing cardiac function." Dr. Carter signaled the stretcher closer. "Move, now. Let's not let the desert win tonight." Ethan was transferred onto the rolling bed as Thunder ran beside them, refusing to lose visual contact. The hospital corridors felt endless. White walls, bright lights, the sterile smell of hope and despair intertwined. Machines beeped in syncopated rhythm, but none matched a heartbeat strong enough to be called living. Inside Trauma Room 2, nurses attached wires and tubes in precise choreography. A younger doctor, Dr. Kenji Watanabe, slid next to Dr. Carter. He was in his early 30s, half Japanese with smooth black hair and lean features sharpened by worry. Newly transferred from Seattle, he carried the anxious determination of someone desperate to prove he belonged here. But his hands were steady. He had earned that steadiness through years balancing the expectations of a family of surgeons who believed perfection was the only acceptable outcome. "Pulse is faint, dropping fast," Kenji announced. Thunder barked and pawed at the side of the stretcher, earning a warning look from one of the security guards. His hackles rose, but his eyes, wide and burning with a plea, never left Ethan. "Get vitals stabilized," Dr. Carter snapped. "Administer antivenom, dose 2 milligrams, and epi, now!" Ethan's body jolted at the electrical shock delivered to his heart. Once. Twice. On the third shock, the monitor screamed flat. A long, suffocating beep. Dr. Carter froze for half a second, the kind that feels like eternity. Then she whispered words she hated. "Call time." Before the sentence could finish, Thunder lunged. He crashed onto Ethan's bed, snarling when hands grabbed at him. He wasn't trying to protect a body. He was trying to confront death itself. He shoved his nose beneath Ethan's left arm again, biting gently at the sleeve, whining with frantic insistence. Kenji blinked. "That's where the sting is. Look." They peeled back the uniform sleeve further. The tiny bruise had grown, dark violet, edges thickening into a sickening green-black halo. Dr. Carter's brows furrowed. "Venom is concentrating there. We need direct counteraction. Increase antivenom now." Thunder barked sharply, as if in approval, then resumed pressing his head against Ethan's ribs, feeling for a heartbeat the machines insisted wasn't there. Charging again. Clear! Ethan's back arched with the shock. The beep persisted, flat and merciless. Marcus clenched his fists so hard his knuckles blanched. Jenna's breath hitched. Kenji swallowed fear like poison. Then Thunder whimpered, a sound so broken it cracked the air. He rested his head on Ethan's chest, refusing to rise. And, like a miracle teased into existence, a blip. A tiny arrhythmic stutter on the screen. Another. Then a weak but undeniable beat returning to its rhythm. "He's back!" Kenji exclaimed, eyes wide with disbelief. "Stabilize. Keep pushing," Dr. Carter commanded, though her voice carried a flicker of awe she couldn't hide. Thunder's tail thumped once against the mattress, a victory drum. Moments stretched forward, steady and hopeful. The line on the monitor danced again, not perfectly, but alive. Ethan's breaths, still shallow, began to sync with the rhythm Thunder had guarded with tooth and heart. Marcus exhaled for the first time in minutes. Jenna wiped her eyes quickly, pretending some dust had gotten in them. Dr. Carter finally stepped back. "I thought we lost him." She glanced at Thunder. "But someone refused to let that be true." Thunder nudged Ethan's hand, letting his nose linger against his skin as if memorizing the warmth that slowly returned. And in the tiny space between death and life, Ethan's fingers twitched, closing weakly over the fur he trusted more than fate. Thunder didn't bark this time. He just stayed. Because his job was not done. Not until Ethan opened his eyes and truly came back. Light returned to Ethan Cole like a hesitant visitor. Soft, flickering, unsure if it was welcome. His eyelids felt like stone, his body like a borrowed thing he wasn't sure he had permission to move. Sound came first. A steady rhythmic beep, the faint hiss of oxygen, and a soft whine pressed close to his hand. He forced his eyes open. The ceiling above him was bright, clinical. The hospital. His thoughts scrambled like puzzle pieces falling into place. Heat, pain, collapse, darkness. Then one piece shone clearer than the rest. Thunder. The German shepherd's head lifted immediately. Thunder's fur was rumpled, his ears alert, his brown eyes filled with an emotion Ethan rarely allowed himself to express publicly: fear. Thunder nuzzled Ethan's hand, tail tapping weakly against the bedside as though he feared enthusiasm might break the man he had nearly lost. "You stayed," Ethan whispered, his voice brittle like cracked glass. Thunder gave a single soft bark followed by a sigh of relief, resting his chin on Ethan's arm. Ethan let his fingers slide into Thunder's fur. It grounded him more surely than any machine's monitor. A figure appeared at the foot of the bed. Nurse Olivia Sanders, in her late 20s, petite with warm brown skin and a gentle smile that looked like sunshine filtered through compassion, stepped closer. Olivia's curly dark hair was pulled into a loose ponytail that bounced as she moved. She was known for her calm way of speaking, shaped by growing up in a large, noisy family where kindness was the only way to be heard. She carried charts the way people carry stories, carefully. "Don't try to talk much yet," she said, voice like soft music. "You've had quite a fight, and this brave boy fought harder than anyone." Thunder looked proudly at her, as if acknowledging his hero title. Ethan blinked slowly. "How long?" You were out for several hours, Olivia replied, checking his IV drip with professional precision. The venom from a bark scorpion caused severe cardiac trauma. You came very close to... She hesitated, but Ethan understood the word she didn't say. Thunder pushed his head harder into Ethan's ribs, as if to erase the idea entirely. The door swung open, and Dr. Amelia Carter entered, crisp white coat swaying. Today, tired shadows under her blue eyes hinted at everything she had poured into saving him, and yet her stance still radiated strength. "You've given us quite the scare, Officer Cole," she said, folding arms confidently. "But from now on, if you ever feel like dying again, I expect a written request first." Ethan gave a weak chuckle, painful but real. "I'll keep that in mind." Dr. Kenji Watanabe stepped in beside her, tablet in hand. His posture was straighter now, confidence beginning to replace self-doubt. "It's lucky Thunder insisted we look closer. The sting site was nearly invisible on initial exam." Thunder puffed his chest, proudly. Kenji gave the dog a respectful nod like a comrade honored for bravery. Olivia leaned closer, eyes softening. "We'll keep monitoring your heart. You're not out of the woods yet, but you're facing the right direction." Then she looked at Thunder. "And you? Officially on hospital staff for the night." Thunder wagged his tail modestly, as though accepting his promotion with great humility. When they stepped out, Ethan's expression shifted. The humor faded, replaced by something raw. He stared at the ceiling as though beneath it lay all the mistakes he had never allowed himself to feel. "I thought it was nothing," he murmured. "Just a sting. I didn't listen." His voice cracked. "I didn't listen to myself. I didn't listen to him." Thunder lifted his head, nudging Ethan's chin with a soft huff. Forgiveness, unconditional and immediate, breathed from him like warmth. "I could have died. And you'd have been alone." Ethan swallowed hard, eyes pricking. He wasn't ashamed to cry here, not with Thunder. The dog's eyes held him steady. "I would have found you anyway," those eyes said. A gentle knock at the door rescued him from his thoughts. Marcus Hayes stepped inside. His broad shoulders filled the doorway, but his stern demeanor was softened, just a little, by relief that still lingered beneath his dark brown eyes. He stood awkwardly, like a man unfamiliar with emotional displays. "You scared the hell out of us," Marcus said, voice low. But Thunder, he knew he never gave up. Thunder trotted to Marcus, nudging his leg. Marcus reached down, hesitant, but scratched his ears. A small smile tugged his lip. "Good dog," he said quietly, the words heavy with gratitude. He turned back to Ethan. "Get better, Cole. Don't make us carry you again. You're heavier than you look." Ethan smirked. "That's muscle." Marcus scoffed and slipped out before the moment grew too fragile. Silence settled again. Gentle this time. Comforting. Ethan closed his eyes, letting Thunder's slow breathing guide his own. For the first time since the sting, the terror of losing everything loosened its grip. There would be a long recovery, physically, mentally, but he wasn't facing any of it alone. Thunder had pulled him back from the brink once, and if necessary, Ethan believed, Thunder would do it again, because some bonds were too fierce to break, some loyalty too powerful to surrender, some love too stubborn to die. Morning arrived not with pain, but with the strange heaviness of being alive again. Ethan Cole lay still, staring at the ceiling as if it held a map to explain why he was given another chance. Thunder slept curled against his leg, chest rising in peaceful rhythm. The hospital room was quiet. Too quiet for a man used to sirens and the adrenaline of the streets. The absence of chaos felt like a spotlight shining directly at his thoughts. A soft knock nudged him back from the edge of anxiety. The door opened and Dr. Carter stepped in, glasses perched low on her nose as she scanned his chart, like the truth might try to hide from her. Behind her walked a tall figure in a gray suit, a woman Ethan had never seen before. "This is Captain Miranda Rhodes," Dr. Carter said. "She came to check on you." Miranda Rhodes looked like someone carved from confidence. In her mid-40s, she wore her dark hair in a sleek bob that framed a face both sharp and familiar. Sharp in authority, familiar in empathy rarely shown outside uniforms. She stood at 5'10", posture straight as a ruler, shoulders squared beneath a tailored blazer. Her eyes were a deep hazel, observant but kind, with faint lines that hinted at years spent making choices others were too afraid to make. "Officer Cole," she greeted, voice steady, the kind that could command a room or comfort a survivor depending on what was needed. "You've caused quite a stir in the department. Half the city knows your name now. And the dogs, of course." Ethan tried to sit up, but a sharp ache pulled him back. Thunder snapped awake, instantly alert, eyes flicking between Ethan and the captain like a worried parent. Miranda stepped closer. "Rest. You earned it." She glanced down at Thunder. "Your partner kept you here. You owe him a steak. Maybe 10. Thunder's tongue lolled as if accepting the suggestion. Dr. Carter tapped her pen against the clipboard. "Physical recovery will take days. Full recovery, longer. The venom shocked your cardiovascular system. And your mind, well, near death leaves marks medicine doesn't scan for." Miranda folded her arms. "No one expects you back in uniform tomorrow. We'll find the right time." Ethan nodded slowly. He wasn't afraid of work. He was afraid of the moment his heart had stopped, and he hadn't even seen it coming. If a tiny sting could end a life, what else was waiting out there? Thunder nudged his elbow, gentle, steadying. Later that afternoon, another visitor arrived. Officer Jenna Brooks entered with 2 cups of vending machine coffee and a crooked smile. Her red hair was tied into a messy bun, and her freckles seemed brighter in the hospital's sterile glow. "You look like someone who wrestled a cactus and lost," she joked, handing him a cup. "But hey, you're still refusing to die. Good job." Ethan snorted a laugh that turned into a wince. Thunder barked once, the dog's way of approving humor. Jenna's eyes softened. "You scared us, Cole. Even Marcus almost cried." She exaggerated a whisper. "He denies it, obviously." Through the doorway, Marcus Hayes appeared, arms crossed, attempting to look like the kind of man whose tear ducts were theoretical. His voice rumbled, "I don't cry. Ever." Jenna grinned. "Sure. And I don't swear when I stub my toe." Marcus ignored her and approached Ethan. Up close, Marcus's stern expression cracked, revealing a mixture of relief and something like admiration. "Next time you feel like dropping dead, give us a heads up." Ethan smiled weakly. "Deal." Thunder sat between them, proud as if he'd assembled this tiny reunion himself. The room grew quiet, not awkward, but reverent. Jenna shifted her weight. Marcus looked at the floor. The unspoken truth hovered. Ethan had left them, even if only for minutes, and that kind of leaving scarred those who stayed. After they departed, the quiet returned, and with it, the thoughts Ethan tried to bury. He turned to Thunder. "How many lives do you think a guy gets? Because I feel like I just burned my last one." Thunder rested his head on Ethan's thigh, grounding him again. Ethan's chest tightened, not with venom this time, but with a slow fear that fate might take everything he loved without warning. He reached for Thunder's fur, fingers trembling. "I don't know if I'm ready," Ethan admitted, voice barely above breath. "To go back out there, to pretend I can protect anyone. I couldn't even protect myself." His throat ached. Shame and gratitude collided, twisting into something overwhelming. Thunder lifted his head and looked at Ethan, really looked. His eyes held patience, love, and a message clearer than human language could manage. "You survived. That is strength." Ethan exhaled, the tension easing slightly. Thunder wasn't just his partner. He was his reason, his reminder, his second heartbeat. Ethan leaned his forehead to Thunder's. "You brought me back. Now I have to figure out what to do with that gift." For now, just breathing was enough, and Thunder made sure each breath stayed. 3 days passed beneath the monotone rhythm of hospital monitors, and Ethan Cole learned that recovery wasn't just measured in heartbeats. It was measured in courage. He sat upright for the first time today, muscles stiff and body still betraying the memory of venom. Thunder lay across his feet like a weighted blanket of loyalty, refusing to let more than a few inches separate them. Dr. Carter entered during morning rounds, exuding her usual aura of unstoppable competence. She flipped through his chart, then raised an approving eyebrow. "Vitals improving, muscle strength returning. The anti-venom cycle is doing its job." She paused, voice softening into a tone rarely granted to stubborn patients. "You're alive for a reason, Officer Cole. Make that reason count." When she left, Ethan leaned back and stared at his hands, steady now, but he could still recall them going slack, lifeless. Thunder sensed the shift and rested his chin on Ethan's knee. It helped. Later that afternoon, another knock came. This time a man stepped in, unknown to Ethan. He wore a charcoal sports jacket over a navy shirt, sleeves rolled to the elbows, as if always halfway between formal and rushing into action. His hair was short and dark with a salt and pepper edge, his jaw defined with the stubble of a man who slept little and cared less about appearances. His eyes, storm gray, carried a knowing heaviness. The badge clipped to his belt read, "Liam Grant, Crisis Counselor." Liam offered his hand. "Officer Cole, I'm here to help you figure out what comes after almost dying. I know that sounds blunt, but dead men don't need sugarcoating." Ethan shook the hand, surprised by the firm grip. "I'm fine. I just need to get back on my feet." Thunder lifted his head and looked at Liam suspiciously, then at Ethan, as if to say, "You are not fine." Liam noticed. "Your partner disagrees. Smart dog." Thunder grunted approvingly. Liam pulled up a chair. "You've faced death before. Gunfire, danger. But this time was different. You didn't see it coming, and you weren't in control. That rattles the strongest ones." Ethan clenched his jaw. "I'm not afraid." Liam smiled gently. "Fear isn't a weakness. It's a call to pay attention." Thunder nudged Ethan's hand to emphasize that point. Liam leaned forward, clasping his hands. "I was a firefighter for 10 years. Thought I was invincible. Then one night, a floor collapsed under me. I survived. Barely. But afterward, I was scared of stairs. Couldn't even walk into a building without feeling like the ground would swallow me again." His voice softened. "You're not broken. You're human." Ethan swallowed. Words he wanted to speak twisted into silence. Thunder pressed closer, breathing warmth into the cold corners of Ethan's doubt. "You don't have to decide your future today," Liam said, standing. "Just don't pretend you're unchanged, because that's how fear festers." Thunder barked once, as if signaling his vote of agreement. As Liam left, he gave Thunder a pat. "Good work, hero. Keep telling him the truth." Evening draped the sky outside Ethan's window in faded orange bruising into night. The hospital hallway lights flickered on, casting reflections on the polished tiles. Ethan felt the quiet start to close in on him again. Then Olivia, the compassionate nurse, entered carrying a bowl of food for Thunder, as if she knew timing was everything. "We're spoiling him," she teased, "but he deserves it." Her expression turned thoughtful, "And so do you." After she left, Ethan watched Thunder devour his meal with enthusiasm that felt like a reminder. Life could still be good. But the peace didn't last long. Ethan's heart monitor beeped suddenly, jagged and erratic. A shock of fear froze him. His hand went to his chest instinctively, breath hitching. The room tilted, not physically, but inside his mind, back to the living room floor, darkness swallowing him. Thunder sprang up, front paws on the bed, eyes laser-focused on Ethan. He whined sharply, nudging Ethan's arm, grounding him. The panic didn't vanish, but it loosened its grip. A nurse rushed in. Nurse Brennan, a tall man in his mid-30s with sandy hair and a calm, soft-spoken manner. "You're all right," Brennan assured, checking the monitors. "Just a temporary rhythm fluctuation. Your heart is relearning stability after trauma." He gave Ethan a firm look. "It's allowed to be shaky. So are you." Thunder pressed his forehead to Ethan's chest until the monitor returned to a steady beep. Ethan exhaled slowly. Alive not because of numbers but because Thunder refused to let him slip. When Brennan left, Ethan whispered, "I'm not sure I know how to go back out there. What if I freeze up? What if next time no one's there to pull me back?" Thunder's tail swept across the sheets once. Then again, loyal reassurance. Ethan rested his palm over Thunder's heart. Strong, steady, brave. Everything he wanted to be again. "I'll try," Ethan whispered. "But I'll need you. Every step." Thunder nuzzled closer, promise affirmed. The fear didn't disappear, but neither did the determination, and as Ethan drifted into cautious sleep, Thunder kept his watch, eyes open, heart ready, guarding the man who was learning to trust life again. Because recovery wasn't about walking, it was about daring to keep standing. The morning sun crawled into Ethan Cole's hospital room with shy warmth, as if it wasn't sure he was ready to greet a new day. But today was different. Today, his feet would touch the ground again, not just for balance, but for belief. Thunder was already awake, sitting at attention like a royal guard awaiting orders. His eyes traced every shift Ethan made, protective gaze unyielding. Ethan swung his legs over the edge of the bed slowly, steadying himself with a deep breath. Muscles trembled, not from weakness alone, but from the memory of failing. Thunder pressed his head to Ethan's thigh, as if reminding him that standing was not a solo act. The door clicked open, and Nurse Olivia Sanders entered with a grin bright enough to challenge the daylight. "Ready for a walk, officer?" she asked, wheeling in a mobile monitor stand. Her brown eyes gleamed with the hope she always seemed to carry. "Walk sounds dramatic," Ethan muttered. "Maybe wobble?" Thunder offered an encouraging bark that made Olivia chuckle. "Well, your partner believes in you. Let's follow his lead, shall we? She attached the leads, making sure the machine beeped reassuringly. Ethan lifted himself to standing, a simple act, yet his pulse jumped like a startled deer. He felt Thunder's nose nudge his hand, grounding him. They stepped together into the hallway, Thunder on one side, Olivia close behind pushing the monitor. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The world didn't slow for fear, only for courage trying to catch up. A maintenance worker up ahead paused. Caleb Monroe, a middle-aged man with a sturdy frame and a kind, unshaven face, watched Ethan with cautious admiration. Caleb wore thick work gloves and steel-toed boots, his Navy uniform dusty with drywall, proof of his hard-working life. A faint limp told a story of an old injury, perhaps one that had once threatened his livelihood. "Good to see you up, officer," Caleb said, voice raspy from years of cigarettes he always promised to quit. "Phoenix needs you back." Thunder wagged his tail once, acknowledging the encouragement. Ethan nodded in thanks, too focused on each careful step to speak. As they rounded the corner, they found Marcus Hayes leaning against the wall, waiting. Not in full uniform, just a black t-shirt and cargo pants that emphasized his broad build. He looked almost relaxed, except his arms were crossed, and concern flickered beneath his tough exterior. "You're walking," Marcus said, deadpan. "Show off." Ethan cracked a small smile. "Feels like climbing a mountain." Marcus nodded solemnly. "Every mountain is climbed 1 inch at a time." It wasn't poetry, but it was exactly what Ethan needed. Thunder pressed closer, his fur brushing Ethan's leg every step. Ethan allowed the warmth of that constant contact to feed his courage. The machine beeped steadily, and Olivia gave a celebratory clap. "Look at that, perfect rhythm." Ethan's chest swelled, not with pride but with relief. His heart was cooperating. Life was cooperating. They reached a small garden patio attached to the hospital, a sanctuary of blooming desert flowers and a single leafy tree, offering rare shade in Phoenix's blaze. The scent of earth and sunlight filled the air, cleansing away the sterile traces of fear. Ethan sank onto a bench, Thunder immediately hopping up beside him, head high, scanning the world as if daring danger to show its face. Marcus broke the silence first. "We've got a lot of paperwork waiting for you when you get back." Ethan groaned. "You're ruining my recovery." "Motivation," Marcus corrected with a smirk. Olivia excused herself to check on other patients, leaving Ethan, Marcus, and Thunder beneath the tree's protection. Ethan stared at the horizon hidden behind buildings and distant desert heat waves. "I used to think nothing could take me down," he confessed. "Now I'm afraid of what I don't see coming." Marcus sat beside him, elbows resting on his knees. "Fear doesn't make you weak. It means you know what's at stake." His eyes softened. "Thunder saw what we didn't. Instinct saved your life." Thunder leaned into Ethan, closing his eyes as though agreeing. Ethan rested a hand on the shepherd's shoulder. "He's the brave one." Marcus shook his head. "He's brave because you taught him to trust his heart. And now you need to learn to trust yours again." Thunder gave Ethan a playful lick on the wrist, tail thumping twice like a drum summoning hope. Ethan breathed slowly, feeling the desert wind brush his skin, hot, alive. The fear didn't vanish, but something else sparked beneath it. A fragile determination. "I'm not ready for the field yet," he admitted. "No one said tomorrow," Marcus replied. "Just don't quit." Thunder stood, placing his paw gently over Ethan's knee, a vow in silent language. Ethan met his partner's gaze. You brought me back once. Guess we keep going until I feel like myself again. Thunder barked proudly, a commander pleased with his soldier's promise. Ethan exhaled, letting courage settle in small but steady pieces. This wasn't the triumphant return he once imagined. It was humbler, quieter, yet somehow stronger. Because bravery wasn't the absence of fear. It was choosing to stand anyway. The Arizona sun bathed Phoenix in gold, as if the world itself was celebrating a second chance. 2 weeks had passed since the night Ethan Cole slipped away from life, and Thunder dragged him back with nothing but instinct and loyalty. Now, Ethan stood outside the hospital entrance, a soft desert breeze brushing against his skin. It was the first time he'd breathed open air without the fear of collapsing stitched into his lungs. Thunder sat proudly at his side, fur gleaming, eyes bright with readiness, heroism worn as naturally as fur. He had a new collar, dark leather with a silver badge-shaped tag engraved with one word, Savior. Feels weird to be standing here again, Ethan murmured. Thunder huffed, tail flicking as though to say, Feels right to me. Captain Miranda Rhodes approached from the parking lot, her presence controlled and assured. Today she wore casual attire, a dark green button-down shirt, sleeves rolled neatly, and black jeans that still carried the command of uniformed authority. Her hazel eyes softened when she saw Ethan standing tall. "Officer Cole," she said with a proud smile, "welcome back." Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, still not fully believing he was worthy of those words. "I'm not cleared for full duty yet." "Recovery is duty," Miranda replied. "We protect the city best by protecting the people who protect it." Thunder barked once in agreement. Captain Rhodes clearly passed inspection. As they walked toward the precinct for a short welcome back gathering, Ethan's heart thudded, not painfully, but anxiously. He wasn't returning as the same man who left. Fear still whispered in the cracks of his courage. But Thunder was there, always. Inside the station's community room, familiar faces waited. Officer Jenna Brooks waved enthusiastically, red hair vibrant under the fluorescent lights. She handed Ethan a cupcake shaped like a paw print. "For the real hero," she announced loudly, handing the treat to Thunder, who accepted it like a knight receiving his medal. Marcus Hayes stood at the back, arms crossed as usual, but his expression was far softer than his stance admitted. "You look better," he said. "Still ugly, though." Ethan grinned. "I heard almost dying improves your sense of humor." Marcus snorted. "Only works once. Don't get ideas." Thunder sneezed as if laughing along. Even Maya Lopez, the young kennel tech with freckles like sprinkled starlight, slipped into the room holding a fuzzy toy, Thunder's favorite. She had tied a blue ribbon around it. "For my brave escape artist," she said. Thunder gently took the toy and set it next to his paw, like a trophy earned. The final arrival was Liam Grant, the crisis counselor. He wasn't wearing his jacket today, just a simple gray shirt, sleeves pushed up like he was prepared to do the hard emotional lifting if needed. His storm gray eyes met Ethan's with quiet recognition. "You walked in here," Liam said. "That's huge." Ethan nodded. "Still scared." "That's fine," Liam replied. "Courage isn't deleting fear. It's moving with it." Thunder pressed his side against Ethan's leg, always translating the truth into touch. Captain Rhodes raised her glass of sparkling cider. "To Officer Cole and Thunder, the heartbeat and the instinct that refused to quit." Applause filled the room, warm and overwhelming. Ethan felt his throat tighten. He wasn't used to being the one celebrated. Usually he disappeared into duty, letting the mission take the credit. But Thunder barked proudly, reminding him he played a part too. After the small ceremony, Ethan and Thunder stepped outside into the golden haze of late afternoon. The city stretched before them, alive with sirens, laughter, engines, and whispers of everyday battles. Ethan breathed deeper. He still felt the faint memory of venom lingering in his arm, still feared the idea of not seeing death coming. But today he wasn't walking back into danger. He was walking forward into hope. "Think they'd let me back on patrol with you soon?" Ethan asked softly. Thunder stared straight ahead, ears perked. "We'll go when you're ready." A small voice cut through the air. "Officer?" They turned to see a young girl approaching, about 9 years old, pale blonde hair and uneven pigtails, wearing a floral dress too big for her tiny frame. She carried a drawing clutched to her chest. Her name tag sticker read, Emma. Emma had a shy, uncertain look, the kind of timidity born not from fear of people but from fear life might break good things if she touched them. She stopped a few feet away, eyes wide with awe as she stared at Thunder. "You're the dog who saved the policeman," she whispered, like speaking too loud might wake a miracle. Thunder stepped forward gently, lowering his head so he was not towering over her. Emma giggled, a light, silver sound, and reached out to place her palm on his fur. "I made this," she said, unfolding the drawing. It showed Thunder with a cape, Ethan standing beside him, a big red heart floating between them. Ethan felt something warm and healing tighten in his chest. "Thank you," he said, voice thick with emotion. Emma smiled, revealing a missing front tooth that made her grin even braver. "My dad is a policeman too. I hope he has a hero like Thunder watching him." Thunder licked her hand, sealing a promise. Heroes travel in pairs. Emma's mother called from the parking lot, a tall woman with soft brown hair and gentle strength in her posture. She waved, grateful for the kindness exchanged. Emma waved once more before running off. Ethan stared at the drawing, unable to look away from the heart between the man and the dog. The world saw them as hero and handler. Emma saw them as something else, two souls who saved each other. He knelt down, resting his forehead against Thunder's. "You remind me why I live," he whispered, not needing to be heard by anyone else. Thunder closed his eyes, leaning into the moment. Always. Ethan stood again, hope anchoring his posture taller than fear ever could. "Ready to go home?" he asked. Thunder wagged his tail with a flourish that could have powered the entire precinct. They walked toward the future, slowly, steadily, side by side. A man and his dog, a heart and its guardian, a tomorrow they chose together. Because sometimes the bravest thing a hero can do is believe he still has a place in the world. Sometimes miracles don't arrive with halos. Sometimes they come with wagging tails. Ethan's heart stopped. Medicine surrendered. But love did not. Because God often works through the bonds we overlook, through loyal hearts that refuse to give up, through instincts He planted deep within every living soul, to protect what matters, to fight for hope to bring us home. Thunder didn't just save a life. He reminded us of the one who breathes life back into what the world calls finished. And maybe, just maybe, you have a Thunder in your life too. A friend, a loved one, a furry guardian, sent not by chance but by grace. So hold them close tonight. Thank God for every heartbeat, every second chance, every ordinary miracle wrapped in fur and devotion. May the Lord bless you. May He watch over those who protect us, two-legged and four-legged alike. May He heal the hurting and strengthen every heart that refuses to give up. If this story touched you, please share it so more hearts can feel hope. Comment where you're watching from and what miracle you believe in. Like this video to honor heroes like Thunder. And subscribe for more stories that remind us we are never alone. Because God sends angels, sometimes with wings and sometimes with paws. Sometimes miracles don't arrive with halos. Sometimes they come with wagging tails. Ethan's heart stopped. Medicine surrendered, but love did not. Because God often works through the bonds we overlook, through loyal hearts that refuse to give up, through instincts He planted deep within every living soul, to protect what matters, to fight for hope to bring us home. Thunder didn't just save a life. He reminded us of the one who breathes life back into what the world calls finished. And maybe, just maybe, you have a Thunder in your life too. A friend, a loved one, a furry guardian, sent not by chance but by grace. So hold them close tonight. Thank God for every heartbeat, every second chance, every ordinary miracle wrapped in fur and devotion. May the Lord bless you. May He watch over those who protect us, two-legged and four-legged alike. May He heal the hurting and strengthen every heart that refuses to give up. If this story touched you, please share it so more hearts can feel hope. Comment where you're watching from and what miracle you believe in. Like this video to honor heroes like Thunder. And subscribe for more stories that remind us we are never alone. Because God sends angels, sometimes with wings and sometimes with paws.